Hi guys, in this video we're going to look at the types of blood vessels found in the body. We will be looking at arteries, veins, and capillaries. These are the three blood vessels found in the human body. I will read from the slides and make reference to the diagram seen on the screen. Let's start with arteries. Arteries refer to the blood vessels that carry oxygenated blood away from the heart. This diagram here shows an example of what an artery looks like. We see a cross section of an artery. I'm going to read from the slide, which talks about veins. Veins refer to blood vessels that carry deoxygenated blood towards the heart. So any blood vessel which takes deoxygenated blood towards the heart is classified as a vein. This diagram here shows me a cross section of a vein. Last but not least, we have a type of blood vessel referred to as a capillary. Right? Capillary is the singular, capillaries plural. And what are capillaries? We say that arteries split up into smaller blood vessels. So I'm talking about the arteries, which are the vessels taking oxygenated blood away from the heart and towards the body. How does oxygenated blood get to all of the cells of the body? Right from your heart all the way down to your toes. These arteries must split up into smaller vessels, and these vessels are called capillaries. These capillaries will take oxygenated blood where it needs to go in the body. The capillaries must then join back together, and when they rejoin, they're going to form veins, such that the veins will be taking deoxygenated blood, I should say, back to the heart. This diagram here shows us an example of a cross section of a capillary. And we're going to take a look at a diagram which shows us how arteries branch into capillaries and how these capillaries branch back to form veins. Here is a simple diagram which shows the oxygenated blood which exits from the heart via an artery. Right, this is a vessel seen in red. Arteries are going to split into smaller arteries, which will then split into capillaries. We see that somewhere in the flow of blood, this blood flow which goes to the cells of the body, this oxygenated blood becomes deoxygenated blood. The deoxygenated blood will then return to the heart via the veins, and this is why we say the capillaries carry both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Right, so on this slide here, we have some notes that need to be taken down with regards to the type of blood which you are going to find in your three blood vessels. Right, make sure to pause the slide and take down notes. In addition to knowing the type of blood which you will find in your three types of blood vessels, we also need to be able to draw each blood vessel. So I'm going to start with the artery, and in my drawing, once I put labels, the drawing is now referred to as a diagram. So in our diagrams of blood vessels, what we'll be looking at is the structure of the blood vessels. So let's look at the structure of the artery. And I'm doing a very simple diagram. And this is my diagram or drawing of the artery. And I'm going to add to this drawing the labels that I would expect you to put in your diagram of the artery. So we have here the opening through which blood flows, and this opening is called the lumen. So we say that an artery has a small lumen, and this is because the artery consists of walls which are thick elastic walls. Right, so the artery is said to have thick walls, and these walls are said to be elastic fibers. We will talk about the structure and relate it to the function of the vessel. Why does an artery have thick walls and as a result a small lumen? The thick walls are meant to withstand the high blood pressure of the oxygenated blood passing through arteries. Remember, when the left ventricle contracts, it will squeeze blood out of the aorta, so there is a rush of oxygenated blood which flows out of the arteries, and the arteries must be able to withstand this high blood pressure. As such, an artery has thick walls. Let's compare the artery to a vein. And I'm also drawing a very simple diagram to show the structure of a vein. We can see that the vein has a large lumen and thin walls. Why would a vein have a large lumen and thin walls with less elastic fibers? Oxygenated blood would flow out of the arteries. The arteries split up into capillaries. These capillaries will take oxygenated blood to the cells of the body. The blood now becomes deoxygenated and must return to the heart and then to the lungs to get oxygen. So this deoxygenated blood, which flows from the capillaries to the veins back to the heart, will be flowing at a lower blood pressure. So at this lower blood pressure, to ensure that the blood travels from the veins back up to the heart, the structure of a vein is such that it requires a large lumen, which will allow this blood flowing at a lower blood pressure to come back to the heart. So essentially what I'm saying is the artery needed thicker walls to withstand high blood pressure versus a vein which does not require thick walls in order to withstand any high blood pressure. Only blood flowing through arteries flows at a high blood pressure. One more addition or one other part of the structure of a vein is that a vein or veins contain a structure called a valve. Alright, in this video I will not discuss what is the function of the valve. We will look at this in another video. So for now, you have to take note that veins contain a structure called a valve. Let's look at the structure of a capillary. We say that a capillary is one cell thick and that there are gaps in the wall of a capillary. why do capillaries have to be 1 cell thick? Remember that capillaries branch out to access all the cells of the body. Therefore, this means that across a capillary we have substances which are moving in and out of the capillary to the body cells or from the body cells to the capillary. One substance we've talked about is oxygen. So when oxygenated blood flows through the capillaries, oxygen will leave the capillary, go to the cells of the body. Is there or are there any substances which cells of the body might produce that need to go back into the blood? If you said carbon dioxide, you would be correct, or even waste produced by cells of the body would need to migrate back into the capillaries into blood. Right? There's also nutrients which must leave capillaries and go to cells of the body. And this is why the capillary wall must be 1 cell thick, as well as there must be gaps in the wall to allow for these substances to move across the capillary wall. So in this diagram, or in this slide, sorry, what I want you to do is take down the structure of the 3 blood vessels. Make sure to pause the video and do so. And this is a look at an actual diagram showing an artery, a vein, a capillary, with short annotations about the structure of the blood vessels. In another video, we will look at the functions of these 3 blood vessels.